Yoga Mamas, I'm Emma from Becoming Mummy Yoga, and this is a preconception supported wall squat, or malasana. You can do it if you are prenatal or postnatal as well. I'm just aiming it at preconception, so stay tuned even if you're in one of those other stages. You will need props for this. You could use a yoga block or a bolster or both, if you have it handy. If you don't, anything that's roughly that sort of shape or size, even a pillow is fine. We're just looking to get some elevation for the hips, so find a pillow or a folded up blanket or towel, and even if you don't have the bolster, that's okay, that's an optional extra, or if you only have a bolster, just use that. So first step is to get the hips elevated. And we also need a wall. So our prop is in front of the wall. We're going to get our hips elevated wherever's comfortable. If you have a block and you can play with the settings, you can feel free to make it higher for increased comfort, especially if you are doing this into pregnancy and bump is getting bigger and it's getting harder to get to the floor. Once we get the hips elevated comfortably, ideally we'd have the feet flat on the floor. Especially with that elevation, this should be possible for most people. If you go on to do it in pregnancy, just widen the knees out to make sure there's plenty of space for bump. And if it's not comfortable for your feet for any reason, if you do need those heels raised, you could always look at just popping a folded up towel or something under them for extra comfort. Once your hips are in the same plane and the sits bones are nicely on your prop and you feel comfortable, you can just lean back against that wall, shoulder blades back down and together. This could be the extent of your support. If you're doing this without a bolster, then you can, as long as you're not pregnant, you could hug the knees right in and cross the arms over the top of the knees and lean forwards. So you are coming off the wall, but you could lean forwards if that is comfortable for you, and you could even rest the chin onto the arms. Or if you would prefer it, another option is to bring those feet roughly hip width apart, and then you could rest the forearms onto the upper legs and maybe take a nice mudra. So that's a hand gesture. Chin mudra is always a good option, typical yogi one that everybody usually knows about already. So the tip of the thumb comes to the tip of the index finger, or the other fingers face away from the body. The palms can be face up, and that sort of signals an openness and expansiveness. That might be what you're seeking most at the moment, so you could do that option, or you could turn the palms face down if you prefer to concentrate on stability and grounding. Or if you do have a bolster and you wanted to get even more comfy, you could bring that in. Just be mindful, if you do go on in pregnancy, you're never compressing or squashing bump in any way. So you would have the bolster out in front of bump. If you are preconception or postnatal, you can feel free to hug that in as much as you'd like, and then either rest the chin on the top or hug it like a big old teddy bear, or move it a little further away from your face so you can rest the forehead, which can feel quite nice for congested sinuses like mine. You may be able to hear in my voice I've had a bit of a cold. It is winter here, so my theme for this month was around comfort and ease. And whenever you have your most comfortable version of malasana, you're just going to sit and breathe and notice everything you possibly can about your breath. And in terms of preconception, this pose is really quite useful for bringing a sense of unwinding of tension. So we're calming and activating our parasympathetic nervous system, very important for reproductive purposes. And it's also bringing energy down into that pelvic bowl, just where we want it. And if you're into chakras, then it's activating Muladhara, the root chakra, which is responsible for our sense of stability, and I think it actually translates as your root place, like your sense of being. And then it also activates the chakra that's considered most important in reproduction, and that's Svadhisthana. Always very fun to pronounce. So it is sort of responsible for everything in the region of that pelvic bowl, from the muscles around there through to ovarian and uterine function. So I guess you could also, while you're here, you could look at just breathing and picturing the energy flowing around down into that space, activating all the centers we most want for reproductive success.